everyone, it's Andrea. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I would like to walk you through an actual loan closing. And I know I've already created a video like this, but this one is slightly different in that I have reconfigured the document so that it's an actual person, actually two people, husband and wife. One is a junior, so I'm going to show you what to do with that. And it's actually a VA loan. And I know some people are a little intimidated by VA loans, but I'm going to walk you through it and show you exactly what to say to make it easier for you, okay? So let me share my screen. All right. So when you first get the packet, of course, you'll have some notary instructions. And again, I have organized this packet in the way that I typically would show my loan documents. So of course, the first few pages are closing disclosure, the note, the deed of trust, and things of that nature. So I have reconfigured the packet to the way I would show it to the borrowers. All right, and the other thing about this that makes this packet different is because this is a two people are on title, but only one person is on the note. So I want to show you exactly what that looks like. Therefore, when you encounter it, it's not strange to you and you can still flow right through the documents painlessly, okay? All right, so this first document, the only thing I say is this is your closing disclosure. It tells you today's date. It tells you your disbursement date. This is a 29-year, 2-month refinance fixed rate VA loan. Here are your loan terms here. Here's your projected payments here. This is how much is coming out for escrow. This top line is your closing costs, and the bottom line is how much is coming back to you. Does that look right? And I'll give them time to really look it over. Most of the time they'll say, oh, that looks perfect. Now, I also do want to point out that I do not say really any figures at all. I point to everything. And the reason I do that is because oftentimes we're in people's kitchens, but there are people that are in the living room, there are people that are in the bedroom, and they're in earshot of what I'm saying. So I'm trying to make sure that I maintain confidentiality, because at the end of the day, it's nobody's business that this loan is for $172,000. Nobody's business. So that's the reason, one of the reasons why I do not say anything about figures. I am simply pointing to where they can find this information. And I feel like it also makes it a little bit easier when they go back through the packet that I keep with them, or rather that I give to them. When they go back through the packet, they kind of remember exactly what document that I was referencing, because I'm pointing and showing them exactly where that information is. So once they say that it looks good, I flip over to the next page and I say, here's how they came up with some of those loan terms. Here's your loan cost, everything associated with getting the loan itself. And here's your homeowner's cost, everything associated with being a homeowner. So this is where you'll find property taxes, homeowners insurance, things of that nature, if that's what you chose to do. And then I will flip over the page. Now, if they look like they're actually reading it, they want to go line item by line item, that's great. I'll give them time to look it over. However, I don't specifically go over each specific line. And in the end, if they end up having questions about some of these loan terms, then I will call the signing company, the lender, whomever it states on the page for me to call. All right, so then the next page, I tell them this is your initial payoff of the loan itself. I flip over the page. This here, I say you have a 15-day grace period, after which you'll be charged a 4% interest. You have no negative amortization. This over here gives you some information, but I have more specific in the packet. And then I flip over the page. This here is your loan calculation, similar to the first page, but this time it's for the life of the loan. If ever you need the lender or the settlement agent, that information is there. Can I get you to sign and date? And before I have shown them this closing disclosure, the very first thing I always talk to them is about their signature, how I need them to sign. So for example, I need Susie J. Smith to sign. Susie J. Smith, however it is on that signature line is how she needs to sign. Same with John J. Smith. I need him to include Junior. And I know sometimes people will say, well, that's not how I sign my name. What I say to that is, I'm instructed to tell you that I need you to sign it this way. However, if you do any deviation from that, you chance the possibility of it being rejected and we have to do it over. But you do it however you feel comfortable. And that's what I tell them. And at the end of the day, nobody wants to go through this process again. So most of the time they go ahead and sign it as it is, but as notaries, we can't force them to sign their name if they're uncomfortable signing it differently from what they're normally signing. But as you will read in a lot of the notary instructions, it specifically says that they must sign exactly as it is on the signature line. So I've covered all bases. I've told them what I needed to tell them, and so they make their own judgment. All right. So John J. Smith is going to sign John J. Smith. And then when it comes to the date, I always ask for 4 numbers for the year. There's one company that I work with that requires that. And so now I just do it across the board. It's up to you whether you want to take that little nugget, but that's just something I do now. Next page is your settlement statement. It reiterates most of the terms that are outlined in your closing disclosure, only this time it's outlined a little bit differently. It shows you all of your debits, all of your credits. Can I get you to sign no date? And that's exactly what I say. And again, they're welcome to review it line item by line item, but I do not do that for them. Okay. All right. So this is your note. This is your promise to pay the loan back. This tells you how much your loan is for. It tells you your interest rate. It tells you your first payment is due September 1. This is when you're expected to pay off the loan. This tells you what your monthly payments will be, but oftentimes that's minus escrow. This here talks about that 15-day grace period. Again, that we've already covered in the closing disclosure. Everything else simply states that you're obligated to pay the loan back. Can I get you to sign no date? And so this is the person who's responsible for the loan itself. Susie J. Smith is responsible for the loan. Susie and John are on title. They're on the deed of trust. But technically, Susie is the only one who has to pay the loan back. So that's another reason why I configured this particular packet, because I wanted you to see what it looks like if you have 2 people on title, but only 1 person on the note itself. And so if you ever have a question on who's responsible for paying the loan back, this document is going to show you just that. And every now and then, the person that is also on title will ask, why do I have so many documents that I have to sign if I'm not paying the loan back? And I think they're kind of scared that they're responsible for the loan. And I let them know, because you're on title, you have a few documents, but when it comes to documents that talks about paying the loan back, you are not on any of those. And that kind of eases their mind. They want to make sure that they're not responsible for the loan itself. This here is a Maryland document. It reiterates that Susie is responsible for the loan. Sign no date. All right. So this is the right to cancel. Keep in mind, whoever is on title has a right to know and agree with the loans that are on the property. So Susie is going to get a right to cancel, and John is going to get a right to cancel. Even though John is not responsible for paying the loan back, he has the right to know whether the property he owns has a lien against it. And if he wants to cancel it, he can certainly cancel it. So I just want to point that out, that each of them will have a right to cancel. So what I say is, this is your right to cancel. It tells you today's date. It tells you that you have up until the 27th to cancel. In this area are the instructions to cancel, but for now you're going to sign and date. And each of them have their own one that they have to sign. All right. This is the deed of trust. So this is what I say. This is the deed of trust. All deeds of trust in the state of Maryland, or whatever state that you're in, are the same except the small piece that talks about you. It talks about today's date, how your deed is vested. It tells you who your lender is. It tells you how much your loan is for. It tells you when you're expected to pay off the loan. And there's going to be a document that follows that states that this is a VA loan and no one else can assume it without first going through the VA. And then I flip over the entire packet because everything else is boilerplate, and that is all standard language for Maryland properties. And so while I'm flipping, I'll say everything else simply states, if you don't pay, you don't stay. Surprise, surprise. Can I get you to sign no date? And then I'm going to fill out this information because this is my notarial section. I'm going to fill out this information. I'm going to stamp over here. And if you're a typic in Maryland, you'll stamp here with your typic information. And then you'll go to the next page. Now, this is your affidavit of consideration of disbursement. It's often the last page to the deed of trust. We do not notarize this document. If you happen to see it, do not notarize it. Oftentimes notaries notarize it, not realizing this is not for us. This is actually for the lender's notary. So if you see the agent of the party secured by the foregoing deed of trust, that's not you. Furthermore, if you keep reading, and that the actual sum of money advanced at the closing transaction by the secured party was paid over and dispersed by the party or parties. As notaries, we're witnessing things. That's what our job is. We're witnessing signatures, we're witnessing things. And so we did not witness a transaction of monies. We did not witness monies being changed over from one lender to another, monies exchanging hands or anything like that. So we can't notarize this document. That should be the other thing that sticks out that makes us think, makes us wonder whether we should notarize it. If we see this, we should know we didn't witness this, so I can't notarize that. So this is not for us. This is for the lender's notary. And someone did ask me that question, and I thought it was an excellent question. I don't think I delved deep into answering it in my last video. All right, so this document here, you'll see it'll look like this. Have a bunch of lines everywhere. This is not for us to sign, to fill out, to do anything with. So you're just going to flip this page over. And keep in mind, I do not show the borrowers all the documents. I only show them documents that they really need to know about and documents that they need to sign. So this document I would not show. And with this, this is the VA loan rider. And like I said before, what I say here is, as I mentioned before, this is a VA loan and no one else could assume it without going first through the VA. And that's basically what this is. Can I get you to sign no date? That's what I say. All right, this is your first payment letter. It tells you how much is coming out for principal and interest, homeowners insurance, property taxes, with your monthly payment being this amount. Again, your first payment is due September 1st. Can I get you to sign and date? And so that's exactly what I said. Someone mentioned in the last video that I should stop saying, can I get you to? And it was a great suggestion, but it's just something that flows off the tongue. And so you'll create your own script and you'll find that there are certain things that just flow right on out without you even thinking about it. And so just keep that in mind. But as you keep going through, you become even more and more efficient. All right, so this is, they call it a coupon. It's not a coupon. But I tell them that in the event that they do not receive the packet of information in the mail from their lender about how to make payments, they can use this document here to make their first payment. It has all the information that they need. It tells them where to send their loan to, the mailing address, and keep in mind that was there, but I took it out. It tells them how much their monthly payments will be, and it gives them their service number and or account number. And I let them know that I'm gonna put that in the very beginning of their packet so that they have it should they need it. All right, so when you start seeing the title up here, like the company up here, you'll realize that these are title documents. These go directly to title. But this is the owner's affidavit. It states that you own the property. And that's really all I say to that. I ask them to put in the date, the month, and the year. I ask them to put in their marital status. I'll then ask them when's the last time they made any major improvements on the property. And if they say never, then I ask them how many years have they had the property, how long have they had the property, and they can put that there. Then I'll ask them if they have any additional liens on the property. So far, everyone has told me no. So then they'll put none here. And then they sign no date. And I notarize here. Then this is the obligation of debts affidavit. I'll let them know that this states that you're obligated to pay the loan back. Can I get you to sign no date? And then I'll notarize here. You get to this document here. This is basically the signature name affidavit. So when you get here, you'll say something along the lines of, Susie, can I get you to sign Susie J. Smith over here, just as it is over here? All right, while Susie is signing this document, I will look at her ID cards that she gave me. So I will ask if it says, if I look at her IDs and one of her IDs says Susie Smith, then Susie is going to print Susie Smith here and sign Susie Smith. So she's signing and printing without her middle initial. So if I have both of those IDs listed here, then I'll ask her, do you go by any other name? And most of the time they say no, but every now and then they'll say something along the lines of, well, formally I'm also known as Susan Smith on some documents, or something else. So however they say it, they need to print it here and then sign here. Is how they're formally known. All right, so John is a little bit different. He's a junior. So he needs to sign over here, just as it is over here. He's going to sign John J. Smith, Jr. While he's signing, I'm looking at his documents. Some of them might say John Smith. So he's going to print John Smith, sign John Smith. Some of them might say John James Smith, because J stands for James. So John James Smith, sign John James Smith. So Junior might be on all of his IDs that he gave me, but then again, it might not be. So however his IDs are is how he needs to print and then sign. And you can ask John, does he go by any other name? And if he doesn't, then you're good to go. If he does, then he prints his name and then signs here. Here's your notarial language. So you're going to sign, you're going to fill this in and then stamp. All right, so then this one is basically the same thing. Only towards the end, it gets a little bit more tricky. So Susie J. Smith, she's going to sign Susie J. Smith here. But when they looked her up, they found she's also known as Susie Jane Smith. So she's going to sign Susie Jane Smith. Right? So and they get these names from when they check the credit reports. And sometimes the credit report is wrong. Sometimes the credit reports misspell names. And so I'm going to show you exactly what to do if that's the case. But Susie Jane Smith, she's going to sign Susie Jane Smith. She's also known as Susie Smith. She's going to sign Susie Smith. If she goes by any other name, then she'll print it here and then she'll sign. And then I wouldn't say a riddle, but they have to fill in some information here. So what we're doing, see this, it says, and that blank are one and the same person. So what we're doing is we're filling in this blank. We're saying Susie J. Smith and Susie Jane Smith and Susie Smith are one and the same person. So Susie needs to print all of that here. Susie J. Smith and Susie Jane Smith and Susie Smith are one and the same person. And then you're going to fill in your information here. All right, so here's John's signature name affidavit. He's going to sign John J. Smith here. When they looked him up, they found him as, he's going to sign, John J. Smith Jr. here. When they looked him up, they found him as John J. Smith, so he's going to sign that here. John Smith, when they looked him up, they found him as John Smith. John says this is not him. His name is spelled wrong. He doesn't know who this is. So what John is going to do is he's going to sign here. And then he's going, no, excuse me, back up. What John is going to do is he's going to print, and let me do that. He's going to print never known as, and then he's going to initial John J. Smith Jr. So I wanted to put this in here to show you what you need to do should their names not be correct, and should John have to initial using Jr. So John Smith, J-O-N, is not him. So he's going to write never known as, and then he's going to initial John J. Smith Jr. And that's how you initial someone who is a junior. All right, but let's say he says, oops, wrong one, that he also goes by John Jane Smith. Then he's going to print John Jane Smith here and then sign over here. So then when it comes to filling in the blank, you're going to put in the accurate names. So that he's going to put, and that John J. Smith Jr. and John J. Smith and John Jane Smith are one and the same person. And he's going to print all of that here. And if need be, sometimes if they have to like put one name here and then put one name here and one name here, then it's fine, because all this space is what John can use to fill in if he needs it. So we're saying that John J. Smith Jr., John J. Smith, and John James Smith are one and the same person. And then you're going to fill in this. This is your notarial language, and you're going to go to the next page. This is the errors and omissions. And the only thing I say, well, I say a little bit more about this. I'll say this is your errors and omissions. They go by different names. You'll find that there are several of them in here. They go by errors and omissions, compliance agreement, limited power of attorney, and correction agreement. What they're all saying is if there are any minor errors, they can make those changes. For example, they misspell your name. If there are any major errors, I or someone else can come out and get additional signatures as necessary. Can I get you to date here and then sign? And that's all I say. And then I stamp. As I mentioned, here's one of those correction agreements I mentioned. Can I get you to date and then sign? And I stamp. This is talking about your taxes. Can I get you to date? Sign, no date. And then I fill in my information, stamp. Account closure letter. This is talking about closing out your initial account. Can I get you to sign, no date? This is your refinance certificate. It talks about how your deed of trust is recorded at the county clerk's office. Can I get you to put the property address here and then sign, no date? And then I'm going to fill in this information here and stamp. This is the post-closing fee sheet. We don't do anything with that. And we don't do anything with that. And you'll see, let me back up a little bit so you can have a better view of what it looks like. But this isn't anything for us to do. Every now and then I like to take a look at it because I find that I learn a little bit more. It kind of talks about what's done on the back end once they receive the documents, but we don't do anything with it. Same with this tax insurance information sheet. We don't do anything with that. We flip it over. Right, the cancels in the wrong section. All right, this is yet again another correction agreement. Can I get you to sign and date? And as you see, John is not on this one. They're going to tell you exactly who they need to sign, and John's not on this one. This is your notarial language. You're going to fill this in and then stamp. This is another signature name affidavit. They're going to print their name just as they did on the other two documents we did in regards to their signature name. The names that are on their ID cards, the names that they formally go by, and then they're going to sign and date. And you're going to fill this in and notarize it. This one is for John. John's going to do the same thing. His names that he go by, sign and date. You're going to stamp. Fill this in and stamp. All right, this is the loan application. This time I made sure to put in the new 1003. This is the actual loan application. Each borrower will have their own loan application. Each borrower will have their own loan application. The old 1003 required both borrowers to be on the same application. The new 1003, each borrower has their own. So you'll see that this is Susie J. Smith. And it says, I'm applying for individual credit. So because Susie is applying for individual credit, John will not have a loan application because he doesn't need one. Excuse me. However, if this is checked off, I'm applying for joint credit, then the borrower of this, so in this case, if we're using this example, this would be Susie's application. Susie would initial here if this was checked off. If it said, I'm applying for joint credit. And then, of course, John would have his own loan application and he would have to initial that application. However, this particular example, it is not joint application. It's only one, it's only Susie, so no initial is required. Because it says I am applying for individual credit, no initials required. What you're going to do is you're going to keep scrolling until you find the signature page. Sign and date. Keep in mind how they want the date. They want 2 numbers for the month, 2 numbers for the day, and 4 numbers for the year. All right, and that's it. I don't pay special attention to this. I just tell them this is your loan application. This is everything you gave them over the phone or by internet. Can I get you to initial here if it's joint? If it's not, can I get you to sign and date? And then I flip the pages over. There are typically 2 areas that they have to sign and date, that the borrower has to sign and date. And that's it. That's all I say. Now, this is part of the VA loan application. That's all I said. I flip the page over. This is the borrower's consent for Social Security Administration to verify Social Security number. So we're going to go back to the first page. We see Susie's name is the only one there. Again, John is not on the loan application, so John would not be on this. But if ever you get confused, go back to this page here and see who's listed, and that will let you know who needs to sign. So John is not on here, it's only Susie. So then you look at Susie. This is your borrower consent for Social Security Administration to verify your Social Security number. Can I get you to sign and date? Sign and date. So let me back up because I want you to see the whole page. There are 2 areas that require signature. Sign, date, and Susie would be the only one that would sign that document, or this document rather. All right. This states if you miss payments, it will affect your credit report negatively. Sign and date. And again, who's responsible for paying this loan back? Susie is. So she's the only one that's required on this one. All right. This is This is the, shucks, I'm pressing stuff. Okay. This is a comparison of your old loan to your new loan. Sign and date. All right. Maryland written acknowledgement of delivery of the note. What I typically say to this is another Maryland document. What I typically say is this states that you are in receipt of the note, which you are. You have copies of everything here. Can I get you to sign and date? This talks about how your deed of trust is recorded at the county clerk's office. Please sign, no date. And so if you look, these two lines are kind of close together. It's easy to miss John's name for some reason. I've come close to doing it, so I just want to point that out. But both of them, because both of them are on title, and this is a document talking about title, then both of them would sign. Sign, no date. And here's my notarial language. I'm going to fill that in. I'm going to stamp. This is talking about the federal collection policy notice. This states and really I don't go into detail. I just talk about the federal collection policy notice. Can I get you to sign a date? But if you read it, it talks about your name and account information may be reported to the credit bureau. Your account may be referred to a private collection agency to collect the amount due. Any written off debts may be reported to the IRS as taxable income. So I don't go into great detail on that. I just tell them this is disclosing some information to you about the federal collection policy notice, sign and date. All right, this too is in regards to the VA loan. Again, if you look, Susie is the only one listed. You don't see anybody else listed. So that will help you decide who needs to sign it if the names aren't there. So you're going to go to the next page. Next page. This part I do want to point out, because if it is not correct, they will send you back out to do this for some reason. So you want to make sure that the ethnicity, race, and sex is there. If you don't see it there, then you ask them to fill that in, and if they don't want to fill it in, they can initial. So give them two options. Let them know that either they can disclose this information or they can initial. So in this case, Susie is the only one listed. So this will be Susie, even though it says poor Susie's a male, but whatever. Susie will be listed. This here is for Susie. So since lender, title, whomever have already filled this information in, then it needs to be date and sign. And Susie's the only one signing this because John is not on the page previous to this. But let's say none of this is filled in. Then Susie needs to fill this information in or initial, date, and sign. If you find that both of these are already filled in, then you know husband and wife or borrower and co-borrower, they need to fill this in. So for example, let's pretend like John was listed. So this information is typically filled in, but if it's not, then John would also fill this in or initial, and then he would sign over here as spouse. I hope I didn't confuse anyone. Most of the time this is filled in. However, I've seen instances where one of these is not filled in by lender, title, whomever fills this document out. Let's say this was missing. The notary didn't catch it. They signed, they dated, they signed. They sent that notary back out, just to get this part filled in. Sounds crazy to me, but it had to be done. So just make sure that this part is already, if it's not already filled in, that you fill it in, not you, they fill it in, or initial, and then date, sign. And if the spouse is listed, spouse signs as well. So again, let's go back up to the previous page. It will have the spouse's name in here. But because spouse is not listed here, then you know that the spouse does not sign, and we do not need spouse information here. All right, so hopefully I explained that, because it can be kind of weird. But most of the time this will be filled in. I've seen lately that when I first started, it was rarely filled in, but now I see it all the time where it's already filled in. So hopefully you won't encounter that. All right, this is the occupancy statement. It states that you occupy the property. Can I get you to sign and date? And here's my notarial language. I'm going to fill it in, sign and stamp. Lender's closing affidavit. In essence, it states the information you gave them is accurate to include your marital status and your income. Can I get you to sign and date? That's all I say. This is your W-9. The only thing I really say is, can I get you to confirm that this is your social? They'll say yes. You get them to sign. Also make sure that this individual section is checked. If it's not, you tell them to check it. So I'll say something like, can you confirm that this is your social? Okay. For this loan, you are considered an individual, so can I get you to put an X in that box there and sign? That's what I'll say. All right, next document is another Social Security number one. So on this one, both are listed, both husband and wife. So I asked them both to confirm that their socials are correct. And then who's ever first, 1A, is going to sign this top one, sign, date, phone number. And you need to make sure that they put an X in this little box here. If it is not checked off, X'd off, whatever, they will reject it and send you back out for that little box. If the spouse is listed, then the spouse will sign and date. If the spouse is not listed, but is sitting there looking you in your face, the spouse does not sign. Only sign if his name, her name are there. Okay. This is in regards to your escrow account. It's telling you how much is going into your account each month and at what point they plan to make those payments. And I will point this out to them. Can I get you to sign and date? This is your amortization schedule. It tells you about every payment you plan to make. It tells you how much is coming out for principal and interest and gives you the remaining balance on down to the last one. And I will point to the last one. Can I get you to sign and date? All right, what I asked them here is, do you want them to be able to contact you? Should they be able to get your interest rate lower? Yay, nay, this is an optional document. If they do, put an X in the box, phone number, sign, and date. And then that's it. That's it. Oh, no, not it. Because towards the end is where I put all the documents that takes a little bit of time. So for example, these people are getting money back. If you recall on the first page of the closing disclosure, they're getting like $10 back. So we need to know how they want their money. Do they want it direct deposited into their account, or do they want it in the form of a check? Oftentimes, and it doesn't look like this specific company requires it, but oftentimes, in order to get it direct deposit into your account, you need they need to be receiving like $1,500, $750, different amounts for different companies. Doesn't look like this one has it. Let's look here. Okay. So yeah, I don't see where it specifies that information. But $10, they're going to be okay with getting it mailed to them. But let's paint the picture. So, okay, they're going to be okay with it being mailed to them. So what I asked them is this your mailing address? And they'll say, yes, Susie will sign and date. And she's the only one that's going to sign this because she's the only one on the note. But let's paint the picture that Susie is getting $14,000 back. So then I ask her, do you want that money direct deposited into your account, or do you want it sent to you through the mail? So if she wants a direct deposit, I need her to fill in this information, and I need a voided check. So this is often where they have to get up and go find a voided check. And so while they're doing that, I am handling the Patriot Act form, the ID documentation. So while they're doing that, I'm doing, while they're looking for their check, I'm still working, I'm still doing something. But let's say they want it mailed to them. Do you want it mailed to this address, 123 Elm Street? They may say no, because I'll be on vacation when it mails. So I want you to mail it here. So they'll print the new mailing address that they want that check sent to, sign, date, and then I'm going to notarize this document. And this is that Patriot Act form. This one you want to make sure at least one of the identifying documents must be current, non-expired government-issued document bearing a photograph of the named individual. So what I wanted to know is, I wanted to know if, there it is, we require 2 forms of identification for each borrower to comply with section da-da-da-da. So 2 forms of ID. So that's the reason why when I called to confirm the appointment, I asked for 2 forms of ID, because I work with a lot of companies that require 2 forms of ID on the Patriot Act. So here I will fill in the driver's license information. That other form might be, it might be a passport, so I'll fill that in there, or it might be like the social security card or something like that, and then I sign and date. And an A suggests that when you print your name and title, that you put your title as signing agent. The rationale behind that is because for this particular document, you're not notarizing anything. You are considered the signing agent. And so you sign as, or rather your title is that. Now, if on the documents that you're actually notarizing, your title is obviously notary public. But if you are not actually notarizing this document, which the Patriot Act does not require notarization, it does not have notarial language, so you don't do anything with it. You print your name and your title is signing agent. Okay, and that's it. That's it. Hopefully, I know it was a lot, but hopefully that helps you, that makes you a little bit more comfortable with taking VA loans, because they're not that difficult, especially after you've had a handful of them, then it's easy peasy. But the first few times you might have it, you're looking at it and you're like, what is all of this here? I actually like VA loans because I find that oftentimes I don't have any issues with them. I don't know if they go through it with a fine-tooth comb or what have you, but oftentimes VA loans close at the table with no problems whatsoever. That's just my experience. I don't know. But I hope this was helpful to you. Hopefully this shows you that you can do a VA loan. It might be a few more documents, but it is okay. You will get through it, and it's not as painful as it might seem. So thank you for tuning in. If you made it this far, I'm sorry it was a long video, but if you made it this far, please tell me you made it this far. Please tell me you made it this far in the video, because I will be just impressed. But thank you. Stay tuned to more videos. Talk to you later. Bye.